welcome back. Today I'm going to look at Revenge of Blood Feasts, or if you want a different title, The She-Beast. This was the first film by Michael Reeves, who only directed 3 films: this, Sorcerers, and Witchfinder General. So this was his debut film, made with a zero budget, really. Starring Ian Ogilvy, with Barbara Steele in for like one day of shooting, and producers who had a different idea what the film should be. So it was written by Charles Griffith, who did a lot of stuff for Roger Corman, who liked doing comedies, and it was written as a comedy, and Michael Reeves didn't want to do a comedy, he wanted to do it as a more serious film. So there was a mismatch between the approaches, which actually works well for the film because it's humorous the first half and then it becomes more serious in the second half, but there's still a sense of humour there, but it means the horror's nasty enough to make it work, so the threat's just not a joke that you can't take seriously. The threat's there, the threat kills lots of people, bit dodgy in special effects, but the way it's shot works, and there's a lot of interesting things. But it's obviously a film made by a talented guy before he had the money and the focus on what he really wanted to do. It just feels like a film that was compromised, but it's an early film that you probably needed to compromise on, because I don't think it was a film that could ever be that good unless you basically started with Michael Reeves from the start, being in charge of it and having a lot more money. And that was never going to happen. This was just an exploitation film. So the actual kind of disconnection with it is actually what makes it kind of work, really, is this sense of it's a film that's in pieces of different types of films. So it starts off with an old man reading a book, because he's a guy who lives in this area of Transylvania, but it's now under the communist rule, because this is like now in the 60s. So the communist rule, and there's lots of jokes about communism in the film, and basically he's reading a book about the past, about this witch 200 years before who was murdered by the local town folk, even though they were told by the count at the time, don't do it. There's a way to kill her, but you have to have patience, because it needed to be the right time so he could do a ritual that would actually kill her properly. They don't listen, they kill her, there's a curse on all of them. So when the film really starts, everyone's in a terrible state, everyone's like, the economy's dead, no one comes to this part of the country anymore, they're under communism, so everyone's ratting each other out, and all the beds have... The hotel they go to, the beds are squeaky as hell, everything's just falling apart. So the curse has happened via communism. And it's an interesting take, though. The idea is you go to a communist country on your honeymoon and find a monster. I mean, there's things out there that actually work quite nicely. And because this was written by an American, obviously you're going to take pot shots at communism. It's just, there you go. And to be honest, communism is a place you can get a lot of jokes from, because it's kind of disaster. But it's a nice, interesting thing that half the problems come by just how the system works and how it's regimented, and how it can be exploited, and how the people in the area fear it and fear everything they do can come against them. So they're quite happy to sell each other out. And basically, the old guy, his family was rich, and now he's poor because of communism, so he doesn't have access to the castle anymore, so he just lives in this hovel. And he's sitting there waiting for the witch to come back, and any other, monsters that might come up. So into this town comes Ian Ogilvy and Barbara Steele. They're having a honeymoon, so they have a day talking, and they're having a honeymoon, consummating their relationship type of thing, and they find a guy watching them from outside, which is a hotel owner, because they're all perverts. Ian Ogilvy goes and beats the guy almost to death, which is crazy. Then the guy tries to get revenge by messing with his car. Ogilvy gets the part back and then drives off with his wife. As they're driving past this river, the car goes out of control and crashes into the river. Instead of his wife being there, there's now a monster who seems dead in his wife's place. And Ogilvy is now like, what happened to my wife? Which allows Barbara Steele to leave the film for most of it to come back at the end when she's finally saved. Or is she? Yeah, I mean, there's everything in here you've seen before. I think some of these things were even cliches at the time. But it doesn't matter because it's a low budget film and nobody cared. As long as it played a couple of dates, making his money back, people were fine. Like, obviously Michael Reeves was doing this for experience and a credit. He wasn't really... There was never a sense that anyone was making this thinking it was going to be amazing. So Ian Ogilvy's basically carrying the film for most of it. And he's playing a guy who's kind of nasty and not the nicest guy. He's trying to find his wife, but he treats people pretty badly, is the best way to put it. But everyone else around him was just as horrible. There are chases, there are murder scenes. There's lots of stuff going on. Lots of stuff you've seen in monster movies, like the monster gets caught then escapes. You know, people don't realise the threat, the danger they're under until the monster kills them. The authorities are useless, don't understand what they're dealing with. All that stuff is there. The monster has some nice kills for a low budget film, but really Reeves is smart enough to realise that the big thing is the atmosphere, because they don't have money for effects, so if the atmosphere is not good, it doesn't work. So he keeps the film going with some interesting shots, good camera placements throughout, just to give a sense of momentum, a sense of direction, a sense of this is getting out of control. So it's one of the films that's better directed than it's written. But there's some fun scenes early on with Steele and Ogilvy as they're playing the couple who are bantering away and having fun with each other, being a bit obnoxious as a couple who are in a honeymoon probably would be. Again, this was shot in one day, so apparently it was not a fun day, because it was like an 18-hour day where apparently by the end of it, you know, Steele was pretty knackered. So I think they just shot all her close-ups, really, and all of her coverage, and then went back later on and shot everything else. But yeah, the film works quite nicely as a low-budget first film. It's that thing is like, if you know it's someone's first film done in a low budget, you're like, oh, that's well done. You can see there's talent there. If you're going into expecting anything beyond a low-budget monster movie with a bit of quirkiness, you know, you're going to be looking at it and go, I expected more. It's just that thing is like, it was a film made by a guy who was just trying to get credit. And Sorcerers, which came out a year or two after, I think, at that point Reeves knew what he wanted to do, and he was much more laser focused. I'm doing this, and he was just very much his own man at that point. But at this point, he had to deal with a producer and writers who, the producer was one of the actors, and he was a comedy guy, and he wanted the comedy bits. That was Mel Wells. The writer wanted it to be a comedy, and he was used to doing Roger Corman comedies. Reeves didn't. He wanted to make it as serious as possible. But actually, they all kind of came together and made a film because it kind of works on its own. Because, I mean, the Mel Wells character is a total scumbag who's a rapist and gets his just desserts. So, even though he's trying to do a comedy stuff, he's playing a total scumbag you can't really redeem. And there are comedy bits in it that are, some work, some don't, but because it's not relying on just being a comedy, you get through that stuff quite easily. Because the way we've set it up as, it feels like a horror movie with a sense of humour, rather than it's a comedy with horror bits. So it's a fun thing. I can't say much more about it. It's just there's nice things in there. It's a good debut, but it's not a stunning debut. It's a good start for a director to go and do better stuff. It's just that kind of film. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it encouraged you to go and see the film, because it was a lot better than I expected from knowing it's a really, really low budget film. It doesn't look as low budget as it probably was. It does look low budget, but it doesn't look as low budget as I had when you see the extras. You find out it was. So it's well done. So go see it. Hope you enjoyed this video. Bye.